Given that Mario is the icon of Nintendo, its poster boy, and a character we typically see at least once a year in some respects, it was odd for me to be reminded that we haven't had a truly new 2D Mario title in 11 years. Wait, did I seriously just post a spoiler tag for my Super Mario Bros. Wonder review? It's a 2D Mario title. What am I going to spoil? Whatever, let's just hit the Wonder Flower and get into this. The easiest way for me to describe Super Mario Bros. Wonder is by stating that it's the platforming style you grew up with, just with a whole new look and vibe. That might not sound like much, but within about 2 levels, you're going to realize just how crazy and wondrous things will be. That's not a joke. I came into this game thinking, okay, how much is the Wonder Flower really going to impress me? And by the 2nd level, I had gotten my answer, because I heard a piranha plant chorus serenading me as they tried to kill me. That was just the 2nd level. But that, in a nutshell, is the experience that is this game. You'll go from level to level, trying to find the Wonder Flower, and then trying to survive the madness it throws you into. Sometimes it'll be easy, and sometimes it will be hard. Other times, you'll be so blown away by what you're seeing and experiencing that you'll honestly not want it to end. That's easily one of the game's biggest strengths. This Wonder Flower could have been a gimmick that backfired on them, and yet this game would be totally basic without it. The plot, which does matter in this case, is that Mario and the crew have gone to the Flower Kingdom to meet Prince Florian. Naturally, Bowser screws things up and uses the Wonder Flower to merge with Prince Florian's castle, take over the kingdom's lands, warp it to his will, and surrounds himself with piranha plant clouds so that no one can get near him while he prepares to do an epic wonder. It's pretty standard stuff, but we do get to see more from the story in this game than other Mario titles. For example, Prince Florian is a cool little character who interacts with his citizens and helps Mario out in certain ways, like carrying his badges. More on those latter. Like with much of this game, it really is the little things that matter. Case in point, another highlight of this game is the fact that they embrace the fact that we're in the Flower Kingdom, and thus are dealing with all sorts of new enemies. It was a genuine thrill to go from spot to spot and find out what creatures lived there and how much of a pain they could be compared to the Koopas, Goombas, and Lakitus. Yes, all 3 of those, and other familiar foes, are in the game. But there's something to be said about having some fresh and new to deal with. Yes, all 3 of those and other familiar foes are in the game, but there's something to be said about having some fresh and new to deal with. For example, the Hoppycats are a simple yet effective enemy that will really be a pain if you don't plan your jump right. Mawmaws are freaking creatures that will swallow you whole, eats Goombas, and will happily swallow any attacks you throw at them. There are even variants to enemies you've seen in the past to further add to the variety. That brings me to the level designs. You can tell that the Super Mario Bros. Wonder team went all out to not just make levels exciting with the Wonder Flower, but also the overall designs of the levels you go through. Even in some of the ending levels, I was going, that's really clever. Or they will do simple things to the main levels to make them tricky or feel fresh. For example, not unlike certain Kirby games, there are levels that play with the perspective to make you really pay attention to see what to do next. That's another thing that they did right. The Wonder Flower isn't always hiding in plain sight. Sometimes you have to look for little clues and hints that will guide you on where to go. Plus, there are multiple levels that have secret exits that will unlock more Wonder Seeds and new levels to play in. Another thing that was fun, more times than not, was the variety of level types you could do. The majority are the standard levels you're used to. Others are special missions where you try to take on waves of enemies with only 2 power-ups and try to beat them in a quick amount of time. There were also levels dedicated to badges to help you train with them and really test how good you could be with them. Finding all the levels was a challenge, and I'm not afraid to say I needed help at times to get to certain ones, but with the open world approach to many sections of the overworld, I was never bored. The badges were the other big gimmick for the game, and for the most part, they added to the title in fun ways. There are 24 badges to get, with 3 categories they're put into. Some of them can be received by doing challenges, others can be bought, and the rest has to be earned. Not unlike other games of this type, such as the Paper Mario series, you'll find badges that you prefer and use them to great effect more times than not. I personally liked the parachute cap badge because it helped me land safely on platforms and save my bacon plenty of times. But there are others you'll want to try out, so don't be afraid to give them a shot. Oh, let's not forget about the new power-ups. We got 3 new ones in the game, and while I did like Elephant Mario, I really preferred using Bubble Mario and Drill Cap Mario. All 3 added new elements to gameplay and fun things for gamers to do, like get into new sections of the level or kill enemies that were almost unkillable before. One last positive thing to note is that the game looks crisp and vibrant. The team noted before the game's launch that they put a lot of time and money into making the animations for Mario, the other characters, and even his enemies more detailed than ever before. You can tell immediately that it shows. Mario is more expressive than ever and has certain animations that help sell what he's doing, like going into pipes, getting hit by attacks, and more. Plus, the levels themselves look gorgeous, and when you combine them with the Wonder Flowers, you sometimes get visually stunning levels that are deep in detail and layered with things to look at. This is absolutely the visual and gameplay standard for 2D Mario titles going forward. But alas, we've reached the part of my Super Mario Bros. Wonder review, where I must talk about the lesser parts of the game. Thankfully, they are few, but they do matter. For starters, the biggest thing for me in this game was the difficulty. Each level states how difficult a level is likely to be to the player. I'm a seasoned veteran at platformers, it's true, but even I was surprised when some of the 3-5 difficulty levels were incredibly easy to beat. Even the final levels leading up to the Bowser boss fight were trivial, and I died once because I made a simple error in judgment during a Wonder Flower section. There were only 2 or 3 levels in the entire game that I felt I was being seriously challenged and having to make my fingers bleed just to get through. As a result, the game can be blasted through in under 15 hours. I was around that number because I was trying to get every Wonder Seed and beat almost every level. Others won't have my completionist drive and might beat it in 10 hours. Furthermore, while the various types of levels were clever, some of them just felt in the way or superfluous. You can beat some of the 1-star extra levels in less than a minute. I'm not joking. Yes, they give you a Wonder Seed, but we could have gotten something a bit more complex. Furthermore, I seriously hated the search party levels because they had some really abstract ways of getting the Wonder Seed, and part of it relied on you having other people in co-op so you could see everything at times. That's kind of a restrictive way of thinking when you're like me and only playing by yourself. I didn't play co-op with a friend. I tried to, but the timing never worked out. But it was an odd choice only to do local co-op versus true online co-op. Hopefully that gets remedied next time around. Badges were a mixed bag. As I noted, I only used one during the majority of my playthrough, and only occasionally used others. I feel this is something that can be built upon for the better in the next game, because there wasn't really a need to use many of the badges overall. For example, there were coin collector badges, but I was able to get to 999 on the purple coins, and had about 50 lives before the end of the game, so I didn't need the help or coins. Other badges were ones that were only for those who wanted a challenge, like being invisible the whole time or having a really tricky jump skill. Finally, while the wonder levels were incredible, there were times that it almost felt that they ran out of ideas, as ironic as it sounds. In one of the worlds, there were 3 straight levels, in my run-through of the same gimmick, just slightly tweaked given the level design. It really stuck out, given the creativity and randomness of all the other levels. Plus, you can tell they loved certain concepts, like the musical beat idea, and leaned on that probably more than they should have. Lastly, I do want to point out that while Charles Martinet is no longer the voice of Mario and Luigi, his replacement, Kevin Afghani, has managed to capture the same excitement that Charles has given us for decades. No, seriously, he has done an amazing job, but you'll have to hear him in action to believe me. If you enjoyed our Super Mario Bros. Wonder review, do us a favor by leaving a comment, liking the video, subscribing to our channel, and possibly sharing this review. Every little bit helps our channel grow so that we can keep giving you more video game reviews and other awesome content.